stay with me until the end, for a detail that will change everything. Wednesday morning routine. I wake up to the sound of my alarm blaring in my ear, a harsh, electronic melody that jolts me out of my slumber. It's a typical Wednesday morning, the kind that feels like it's been replicated 1,000 times before. The sun peeks through my blinds, casting a warm, golden glow over my cluttered apartment. I stretch my arms, feeling the soft, worn fabric of my t-shirt, and get out of bed, my feet touching the cold, hardwood floor. The chill of the floor sends a shiver up my spine, and I shuffle to the kitchen to start my day with a cup of coffee. The aroma of freshly brewed coffee fills the air as I pour myself a lukewarm cup from the 7-Eleven down the street. The taste is bitter, but familiar, a comforting ritual that never fails to wake me up. I sit at my desk, surrounded by stacks of old bills and unopened letters, the faint scent of stale paper and forgotten dreams hanging in the air. My phone is next to me, and I decide to record a new voicemail greeting. I pick up the phone, feeling the smooth, cool plastic in my hand, and begin to speak. The greeting is simple, a straightforward leave a message after the beep. I hang up the phone, feeling satisfied with my new greeting, the sound of my own voice still echoing in my ear. The rest of the day is a blur of work and routine tasks, the hours ticking by with a dull, monotonous rhythm. I don't think about the voicemail greeting again until years later, when the familiarity of my daily routine is disrupted by a strange, unsettling discovery. I've moved to a new city, started working as a forensic accountant, and made new friends. My life has changed in ways I never could have imagined, the memories of my past life fading like the smell of old coffee. But some things remain constant, like my voicemail greeting. Or so I think. The discovery. I'm at a friend's house, browsing through my phone when I decide to call myself. I dial my number, the sound of the phone ringing in my ear, and wait for the voicemail greeting to play. But something is off, a nagging sense of unease that I try to shake off. The greeting is 9 seconds longer than I remember, a tiny deviation that sends a shiver down my spine. I'm taken aback, my mind racing with questions, the room around me fading into the background. How is this possible? I try to recall if I had recorded a new greeting, but my memory is hazy, like a dream that's slipping away from me. The voice at the end of the greeting is my father's, gentle and soft, a warm, comforting sound that's both familiar and strange. It's a stark contrast to the voice I had recorded all those years ago, a jarring reminder that something has changed. I feel a shiver run down my spine as I listen to the greeting again, the sound of my father's voice transporting me back to a different time and place. I try to process what I'm hearing, but my thoughts are jumbled, like a puzzle with missing pieces. I look around the room, trying to ground myself in reality. The familiar sights and sounds of my friend's house a welcome respite from the turmoil in my mind. My friend is watching me, concerned, but I just shake my head, unable to find the words to explain what I'm feeling. I need time to think, to unravel the mystery of the voicemail greeting. I thank my friend and leave, my mind reeling with questions. The city streets a blur around me as I walk back to my apartment. The sounds of the city, the honking of cars, the chatter of pedestrians, muffled, distant, as if I'm walking through a tunnel. I feel like I'm living in a dream, where nothing makes sense, the familiar rhythms of my life disrupted by a strange, unsettling discovery. Questioning reality. I sit at my desk, staring at my computer screen, the glow of the monitor casting an eerie light on my face. I'm trying to make sense of what I heard, the sound of my father's voice still echoing in my mind. I think about the possibility that someone had hacked into my phone, but that doesn't explain the voice, the gentle, soft tone that's both familiar and strange. I consider the possibility that I had experienced some kind of memory lapse, but that doesn't account for the fact that my father had been dead for over a decade, a painful reminder of my loss. I start to notice small discrepancies in my daily routine, the tiny deviations that add up to a sense of unease. The freckle on my coworker's cheek is on the wrong side, a small, almost imperceptible detail that's off. The way the sunlight streaming through the window seems slightly off, the shadows cast by the furniture different from what I'm used to. It's as if my reality has been altered in some way, the threads of my existence slowly unraveling. I feel a sense of unease, like I'm living in a world that's not quite mine, the familiar sights and sounds of my life distorted, like a funhouse mirror reflection. I try to focus on my work, but my mind keeps wandering back to the voicemail greeting, the sound of my father's voice haunting me. I start to wonder if I'm going crazy, if my perception of reality is flawed, the world around me a fragile, crumbling construct. I look around my apartment, trying to find something that's still familiar, an anchor to hold onto in a world that's spinning out of control. But everything seems different, like I'm seeing it for the first time, the familiar sights and sounds of my life transformed into something strange, unsettling. The puzzle pieces. I start to investigate, trying to find clues that can explain what's happening. I look through old receipts and documents, searching for anything that might be relevant, the musty smell of old paper filling my nostrils. And then, I find it, a timestamp on an old receipt that seems to be from a future date, a small, almost imperceptible detail that's off. It's a small detail, but it's enough to make me realize that something is very wrong, the world around me a complex, ever-shifting puzzle. I start to feel like I'm trapped in a puzzle, with pieces that don't quite fit, the edges rough, the shapes mismatched. I try to assemble the pieces, to make sense of the disjointed fragments of my reality, but the more I try, the more I realize that the truth is hidden, just out of reach. I feel a sense of frustration, like I'm running in circles, the same questions, the same doubts, echoing in my mind. But I refuse to give up, the determination burning within me, a fire that drives me to keep searching, to keep trying to find the answers. And then, it hits me, the realization that my voicemail greeting is not just a simple recording, but a doorway to a much larger puzzle, a complex, interconnected web of clues and mysteries. I feel a sense of excitement, like I'm on the verge of a breakthrough, the thrill of the unknown driving me forward. The revelation. I sit at my desk, staring at the receipt with the future timestamp, the paper trembling in my hand. I feel a sense of clarity, like the pieces of the puzzle are finally falling into place, the edges fitting together, the shapes matching. I realize that my reality has been altered, that something has been manipulating my perception of time, the fabric of my existence distorted, like a reflection in a funhouse mirror. I think about the voicemail greeting, and how it's connected to the larger puzzle, the sound of my father's voice echoing in my mind. I start to understand that the greeting is not just a recording, but a message from another version of myself, a doorway to a different reality, a different dimension. I feel a sense of wonder, like I'm glimpsing a world beyond my own, the possibilities endless, the mysteries waiting to be unraveled. I realize that the truth is not about the voicemail, but about the fabric of my reality, the intricate, interconnected web of time and space. I start to see the world in a new light, as a complex, ever-shifting puzzle, the pieces constantly changing, the shapes morphing. I feel a sense of awe, like I'm standing at the edge of a vast, uncharted territory, the unknown stretching out before me like an endless, shimmering sea. And then, I see it, a pocket watch on my desk, engraved with a date that has not yet come to pass, the ticking of the watch a reminder of the mysteries that still await me. The haunting image. I sit in the darkness, the only sound the ticking of the pocket watch, the rhythm steady, reassuring. I'm left with a haunting image, the watch, engraved with a date that has not yet come to pass, ticking away on my desk, a constant reminder of the mysteries that still await me. I feel a sense of unease, like I'm living in a world that's not quite mine, the familiar sights and sounds of my life distorted, like a reflection in a funhouse mirror. I wonder what the future holds, and whether I'll ever be able to uncover the truth, the answers to the questions that haunt me. I look at the watch, and I'm reminded of the voicemail greeting, and the message from another version of myself. I feel a sense of connection to that other self, like we're both searching for the same answers, the same truths. And then, I'm left with a question: what happens when the date on the watch finally arrives? Will I be ready, or will I be trapped in a reality that's not my own, the world around me a fragile, crumbling construct? The darkness seems to press in around me, the shadows cast by the furniture twisting, turning, like living things. I feel a sense of anticipation, like I'm waiting for a storm to break, the air thick with tension, the silence oppressive. And then, I wait, the ticking of the watch the only sound in the darkness, the unknown stretching out before me like an endless, shimmering sea. Now that you've heard my story, I want to ask you, what do you think is really going on? Share your theories in the comments below. If you want to read the full written version of this story, check out the link in the description. And if you liked this video, be sure to like and subscribe for more mysterious tales.